Good evening, councillors, staff and members of the public. May I remind you that everyone, whilst participating in speaking during the meeting, that mask must remain on. I declare the Ordinary Council meeting on the 23rd of March 2022 open at 5:30 p.m. And please stand. I wish to acknowledge the Garryotta people as the traditional custodians of the land that we're meeting on and recognise their strength, resilience and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Item number 3, recording of attendance. The audio of this meeting is being recorded to facilitate community participation for minute-taking purposes, which may be released upon request to third parties. In accordance with Clause 616 of the Town of Port Hedland Standing Orders, Local Law 2014, members of the public are not permitted to use any visual or audio electronic device or instrument to record the proceedings of any meeting unless that person has been given permission by the presiding member to do so. Members of the public are also reminded that in accordance with Clause 617-4 of Standing Orders, mobile phones must be switched off and not be used during the meeting. 3.1 Attendance. Attendance is scheduled in the agenda. 3.2 Attendance by telephone, entertainers, communications. We have a recommendation before us to approve the request for Councillor Bennett and Councillor Zielke to join the meeting via entertainers communications. Under section 14C, I have authorised Councillor Bennett and Councillor Zielke to attend the meeting on the 23rd of March 2022, the Ordinary Council meeting, by the way of entertainers communications as a resident of Port Hedland. 3.3 Apologies. Mr CEO, do you have any apologies at all?
I have one apology from Councillor Eckhart, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, CEO. 3.4 Approval of absence. We have two approvals of absence. We have Councillor Elkhart from the 15th of April 2022 to the 25th of April 2022, and Councillor Bennett from the 8th of April 2022 to the 19th of April 2022. Item number 3.5, disclosure of interest. Councillors, do we have any disclosure of interest in tonight's agendas at all? No. Councillor Bennett? No? Okay, thank you. Item 4, approved leave of absence. Mr CEO, do you have any requests for approved leave of absence at all?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I have a request from Councillor Gillingham for leave 9th of April to the 25th of April inclusive, and a second request from Councillor Christensen, 6th of April to the 23rd of April.
Thank you, CEO. Can I get a mover, a second for that, please? Can I get a mover? Thank you, Councillor Coles. Thank you. Get a seconder, Councillor Turner. Thank you. All those in favour, show of hands. Yep, 6 passed. That's great. Thank you. Item 5, response to previous questions. Response to previous questions at the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 23rd of February 2022 were answered during the meeting. Item number 6, public time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity for members of the public to ask questions of Council. Clause 6.73 of the Town of Port Hedland Standing Orders Local Law requires members wishing to ask questions to complete the question form in the tray provided and take it to the minute taker. If the presiding member determines that the questions and statements are out of order due to the offensive or objectionable expressions or defamatory, they will not be considered or recorded nor responded to. 6.1 public question time. I declare public question time open at 5:34 p.m. CEO, do you have any public questions at all?
I've received none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, CEO. Members of the public, do you have any public questions at all? Thank you. Can you please come forward, state your name and address, please, and please remind to fill the public question form out if you haven't already done so. Thank you.
Lorraine Watson, 50 Greenplace. I'm actually asking questions that were referred to me from a parent.
And can you please put your mask on, please?
Okay. Right.
Lorraine Butson, 50 Green Place, South Headland. I'm actually asking 3 questions on behalf of parents from the One Tree Len Taplin Daycare Facility, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight due to being locked down to having COVID. Question 1. What is One Tree's operating agreement commitment to the town of Port Hedland when they acquired the council-owned building, Old Port Hedland Library?
It's a fairly detailed response. I don't think I'm able to give you a response today, but clearly we are leasing the premises to them to deliver that service. I don't know whether the director wants to add any more.
Yes, through the chair, the agreement between the town of Port Hedland and One Tree, who operates Len Taplin, is that of a community lease. Through the town's community lease, One Tree, as many other community groups that have community leases in place with the town, required to pay an annual fee of $200 a year. And and there is no requirement for an operating agreement to be in place. So basically the town leases the facility to the centre, but this hasn't been undertaken for a procurement process or for a tender process. So One Tree are not actually providing services or goods to the town of Port Hedland. So they occupy the space and they manage it in accordance with their own operating model.
Okay, question 2. Was the town of Port Hedland engaged at any time to assist with finding a solution to staffing issues prior to full-time care being cancelled?
Joe?
Through the chair, as previously mentioned, the town has a community lease in place with One Tree, and this means that the town cannot actually request One Tree to make specific decisions in relation to how they operate their facilities, including their staffing model. However, the town works with a number of childcare providers across Hedland, One Tree being one of them.
Yep.
This is through a group created under the Hedland Collective model, and there are monthly meetings in place where childcare centre directors come together. Unfortunately, One Tree was not in touch with the town of Port Hedland before they made the decisions in relation to staffing. So we were sent correspondence, but that correspondence was received at the same time as all parents received the information.
Yeah, okay. And question number 3, is the town of Port Hedland prepared to engage with One Tree to help find a solution, e.g. to housing, travel assistance for FIFO staff, so that full-time capacity childcare places can be made available?
Through the chair, following on from my previous response, the town has actually, as soon as we found out that news, we got in touch with One Tree, and a meeting was scheduled for this Monday. Unfortunately, One Tree had to cancel it at the last minute, but another meeting has been set up again for tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any more public questions at all? Thank you, Gloria. Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, it's Gloria Jacob, 76 Sutherland Street, Port Hedland. I have a couple of questions here, one relating firstly to the upcoming special elections on the 20th of May. May I please request clarification from the town on Clause 12 of Schedule 9.3 of the Local Government Act as to who is an occupier. Is it that you don't have to be an Australian citizen or on the electoral roll and are eligible if you lease a rateable property? I've got it right here if you'd like to refer to it so that you can... It's pretty... I've got a copy of it here. It's a little bit confusing to read, so I'm happy to give that to you, CEO, if you want to refer to it.
Happy to take it and take it on notice, and then we'll respond.
Well, the problem is I'd like an answer, given that the next the period will occur pretty soon. The closing period to register this form is actually next week, so I can't wait for an answer. Would appreciate an answer later today, or at least a response, because it says here that the CEO is the person that will deem that these forms are returned to, and if their eligibility is approved, then they will be added to the enrolment form. So it's pretty urgent that we get an answer, and since we're holding an election, I would have thought that would have been something we could refer to and get an answer on the night.
Certainly happy to do it as quickly as I can and respond back to you.
Okay. So that's a general no, we don't know. That if occupiers, people who lease rateable premises in Port Hedland are eligible to vote in the local government elections, and I defer to somebody. I wasn't even going to look at you, Tony, sorry, but but yeah, so that's my question, is to be clear, people who live in the town of Port Hedland who are not citizens of Australia, not Australian citizens, or are not on the electoral roll, if they are occupying or are nominees of a rateable property within the town of Port Hedland, are they eligible to vote if they enrol by the 31st of March? And that's why the haste is here, because it's important.
Through the chair, if I may, CEO.
Yes, Karen.
It may not exactly answer exactly what you're after, but anyone can submit a form and they'll be assessed for eligibility when the form's received.
Just so that, to clarify why I'm asking, is because the town of Port Hedland has a lot of citizens that actually live here and work here, but they're not necessarily on the electoral roll, and they're not necessarily Australian citizens. Our friends from across the ditch are a great example of people who choose not to be Australian citizens but have lived here for decades, some cases, and have never voted because they've never felt that they were entitled to vote, and yet they live, work, volunteer and use the services and infrastructures within the town. So if this is true, then if the rule can be clarified, then they've had the access to voting all the time. Okay, in relation to item 11.2.1, the Hedland Arts and Cultural Precinct, firstly, I'd like to commend the town on listening to community feedback and looking at repurposing existing and underutilised infrastructure with the thought to repurpose the facilities and activating spaces for the benefit of the community. It's a really great initiative and it's fantastic, so really commending the town on that. My question relates to the following. Can the town please advise if they have entered negotiations to attain the site, the old TAFE, which is lot 500 on Forest Circle, and what would be the cost implications, if any, or would the town be vested the land?
So I think the short answer is yes, we have entered into negotiations with those. We have requested that that land be transferred to the town. It is yet to be determined whether it is a purchase acquisition as in freehold or whether it will be by management order, but we are keen to secure that site.
At a cost?
Well, the cost obviously, if it's commercial, will be at valuation, and if it's a management order, then the land would simply be transferred to the town and we would take over management and control of it.
Perfect. We would expect that the latter be the option that we prefer. Okay, and question 2 relating to the same item. Given the report proposing for what the community given the report has proposed, the relocation and the next suggestion of the Civic Centre to be briefed there, what, if any, community consultation has occurred to relocate the Civic Centre to South Hedland?
There's a separate report that's also already been presented to Council on the Civic and Community Hub that was looking at a relocated civic centre in the town centre of South Hedland. It's also come up during this particular study as well. as an option. So in terms of direct consultation, the consultation is through the process of those two studies, both of which one's already been adopted by council and one's obviously being presented to council tonight. In terms of additional consultation, I guess as we move towards securing the land and then looking at making those things happen, we would look at additional consultation as required.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have one last question or not?
Okay.
Yep, thank you. So the briefing here, can I just confirm that the officer's recommendation, item 4, which notes the officers will prepare and present a further concept for an integrated civic and arts hub on the selected site using the return design brief from the Woods Officer Woods and RFF, the cost to now return the design brief concept integrating a civic and community function centre, is it to understand that the cost shown in the report is $78,000 to design a concept to include the civic centre in that? Is that?
No, the cost of 78 was the cost to produce the report and the study that's in front of you and being voted on tonight. We will go back to market and seek quotes for the more detailed design brief that's referred to in the return brief.
Thank you. So your recommendation here is that this report requests the CEO or his delegate to allow further development of the return design brief, and we don't understand the cost to that brief as yet.
No, not as yet.
Will that be presented to?
Yes, so we'll go to either one of our panels or we'll go out to marketplace through a tender process, and then that will probably, if it's a tender, it'll get reported back to council and then we'll go through that process.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Do any more public questions at all? Okay, we'll close public statement time at 5:47 p.m. Okay, 6.2, public statement time. Do we have any public statements at all? Please come forward again, please state your name and address of the record, please.
Hi, Gloria Jacob, 76 Sutherland Street, Port Hedland, 6721. Just a couple of statements. Would very much like to thank the town's officers for providing the relevant attachments online for the community. I also request if the attachments relating to the financial statements can be checked by somebody that they are wholly readable. I'll table this because it's really hard. The front bits are all chopped off, so it's really hard to read what exactly the cost lines are. So if that can be checked before that gets put online, that enables, because it's already a small print, it's pretty darn hard to read if half the front of it is missing. So just an observation, but thank you very much because the reports are great. Just on second statement relating to item 11.5.3, and I noticed my very famous colleague sitting behind us here, Tony Simpson from RDA. I just wanted to commend the town for collaborating with the City of Karratha and RDA on this important initiative. It will allow businesses and employers to access workforce through sponsorship agreements. The downstream effects of the Dharma will have a long-term effect on business operations in the Pilbara without doubt. And in particular tonight we talked about childcare, and hospitality and other services are very important to those that will benefit from that. So thank you very much, town, for taking that step, because it's a great initiative, and the business community in Port Hedland and indeed the Pilbara will be the benefactors of your initiative. So well done, and thank you, Mr. Tony Simpson.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, do we have any more public statements at all? Okay, I'll close public statement time at 5:49 p.m. Thank you. Okay, 6.3, petition, deputations, presentations and submissions. We have received one request for a deputation. The applicant has been received to approve in accordance with Standing Orders 6.10 from Tony Simpson, Chief Executive Officer on behalf of Regional Development Australia Pilbara, in relation to item 11.5.2, Designated Area Migration Agreement Funding Model. Mr Simpson, you're invited to come forward, please, and address the council up to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I won't take 10 minutes. Appreciate your time, councillors and staff as well. As you know, we've been on this journey for a bit over 12 months, and as of Monday, the deed is now in front of Minister Hawke for signing off. So, councillors, in that deed, there is an opportunity for over 1,000 skilled workforce that come from overseas, 200 a year. It's pretty important to recognise the work that was done by both chambers to get together a list of 66 occupations. But one of the key issues in there, 50% of those are 50% of the occupation is based around a service, so that we spoke about childcare, spoke about getting coffee, haircuts, all that type of stuff, which actually makes up the fabric of the town. So, councillors, hopefully this will be very helpful for small businesses, but just want to acknowledge the town of Port Hedland and their commitment to this journey and standing beside their small businesses and keeping them operating through a hard time. One of the key issues we know, getting staff and able to hang on to them in an economy like the Pilbara is certainly very, very hard to do. The Dharma does give them another opportunity to sponsor out that migrant skilled worker to actually help out to get a stable workforce, but also continue their service and hopefully build their business. But hopefully we'll be back soon. I want to acknowledge the great work Phil Hardy has done on that team with me every week. He's done an outstanding job. Thank you again, the councillors, for your commitment to this. Really good to see you get behind small business and try and make a real big difference into that. But appreciate your time and look forward to working with you on. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Mr Simpson. Thank you for that. Thank you. Item number 7, question of the members without notice. Councillors, have any questions at all?
Yes, Mayor, through the Chair. I just wanted to get an update. At the last OCM, I asked a question about a community audit on space available for non-profits. I've also followed out with a couple of emails to Council and to Town of Port Hedland. Just wondering if I could get a quick update.
Okay, Joe?
Yes, through the Chair, the town is in the process of conducting an audit of a number of facilities across town. These are not just local government facilities, because most of our town Port Hedland community facilities are actually at capacity and fully booked out pretty much every day of the week. But we're really looking at exploring a number of other facilities that sitting vacant around town that might be able to accommodate a number of community groups. So officers from a number of different teams across the organisation will be looking at that in the next couple of weeks. And we've also started meeting with community groups that have been in touch with us looking for space to see how we can best accommodate them if there is the opportunity to do so. So we'll be putting together a list and going around and doing a bit of an audit of these facilities and then reporting back to Council accordingly.
Thank you, Joe. I would just ask if you could provide a list of organisations that you have been consulting. I'm aware of the challenges for Hedland Toy Library and also for Reach Us. I'm sure there's others, and very keen to leverage whatever influence and resources we have to support those very worthy organisations. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Any more? Yes, Councillor Gillingham.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, through the Chair. I just wanted to mention, I know that I've spoken to the staff and some of us councillors about trees, so I'm a bit passionate about trees in our area. But I did ask through the Chair at our briefing session last Wednesday about the Pioneer Cemetery. I had a number of people phone me that trees had been cut down on the pathway, and I did look into that a little bit more. Through the Chair, I did ask our director, Lee Furness about which were the trees that were cut down. I'm just wondering if that name of the tree had come back, because I believe that these trees that I've been told over the last few days from the Heritage Association is that those trees were funded for approximately 15 years ago, and there was a lot of consultation to have those trees in the Pioneer Cemetery. They have been cut right down to the ground, and it has been told to us last week that there's a new plan for trees. But why is this the case? Because these trees were perfect, and these trees were actually a type of Pilbara eucalyptus trees, which are a type of eucalyptus trees. Once they grow, they don't need any water. So I think personally it's a bit of a sacrilege, and I would really, really like, please, that if anything's going to be done, a lot of us know the history of trees in our town because we've been here for a fair while, and there are many trees around that I see that were funded in different funding. A lot of high school kids actually were brought together a number of years ago to plant trees even down by the Walworth Bridge, and when they started to pull those trees down, we said stop. These trees were done for funding, and it was a high school initiative with the kids. So I'm just saying, could we please find out first what staff are going to do about the trees? Is this contractors that are doing the cutting down of the trees? Do these contractors know what is happening with these trees? So I just want us to know if we can please get really on board with what is happening. And I went down and took some photographs of the trees. It's just totally to the ground there, and it's just, it's still summer, you know, it's still summer. So I just think that it was a bit of a sacrilege personally. I know that there's probably other trees going to be built, but did we really need to cut those trees down? So through the chair, I don't mind if there's director wants to answer through the chair, but I know we did get a bit of an answer on our briefing last Wednesday.
Certainly, yes. I'll get Lee, the director, to answer that question for you.
So the trees were cut down, they weren't good specimens. So we have to look at trees as both an amenity and an asset management. The trees need to be pruned and maintained. We have councillors, contractors who do some of that work for us. We have our own staff that have the capability to do it. We will be adding many more trees to the cemetery. I think we're putting in peltothrums, which seem to like it here. They are a good shade tree. There'll also be paths put in, a general tidy up of the cemetery, some signage, and I think it will be a much nicer place than it was, seating and things like that. So it lacked a bit of care and attention, and I think that's now firmly on the town's radar, as is the South Headland Cemetery. So there's been a fair amount of work done at both of those, and I think says a lot about the town on how what its cemetery is like and the care that it gets. So the Pioneer Cemetery will be getting quite a bit of care and attention now.
Okay, thank you. So,
thank you. Just that, you know, winter's coming up, etc. Going on with that question was the tamarind orchid tree, which I've asked about many times, at Acton Street, which was the site of the old Port Hedland Primary School. All it does need is add a little bit of water. There's a big area that's died on it. It's really growing. It's growing, unless in the last few days it's disappeared. I don't know. But because we had a lot of rain, if, you know, this tree can have a little bit more time to grow, just so that we don't get any bacteria in that growing in the trees with that. But the update on the tree, I know when I've asked in the past, it was that the tree is dying, but suddenly it's growing again. So I just been asked by the Heritage Association, these people didn't want to come out tonight because of the COVID, and so they wanted to ask that question. So through the chair, if there's any more answer on that tree.
yeah, I'll get Lee to answer that question for you, Councillor Gillingham.
Thank you very much.
The tree is not a town asset, it's on wax land. So the tree is, to all intents and purposes, on life support. It's split right to the ground now. It is dangerous, so that even though it's not our tree, the town put fencing around it to stop people from accessing the tree. We've had an arborist report. I've suggested to WAX that they get their own arborist report. What I have spoken to Julie Arif about from the Historical Society, WAX and also HMI, who have looked at that site for a possible maritime college, is for us in the cooler months, so that I mean the next couple of months, is to take cuttings and seeds from that tree, offer them to the community to grow on, and also for the town to grow some on, and then that tree will, no amount of water or attention is going to save it. So we've had a professional arborist, that is the opinion of our staff as well. So I think in terms of that, trees don't last forever, not here. And I think that we, you know, it's on WAX land, so it really is an issue for WAX. They have agreed to us taking cuttings and the seeds and having those available, pot them up and then have them available for the community to get a cutting from that tree. But you know, it might last a year, it might last 6 months, but the tree is, to all intents and purposes, dead.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that question, I'd like to ask then, what's happened to all the cuttings and the seedlings which were at the depot 10 years ago, and where are those trees now? Were they planted out some way? Because there was a big program because they were worried 10 years ago about the tree. So maybe I'll take that on notice, but I don't know whether these trees have been planted out or whether they've just not, whether they've died or something like that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gillingham. Thank you.
Through the chair, I know some of them were planted at Merv's Lookout, Councillor Gillingham. So I think the ones that the town had at the time have all been planted out. But I think this would be a good thing to do for the community, and also to offer it to other community members who might want to have one in their backyard or somewhere. So.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
I do have one more question. Thank you to the Chair.
Yes.
Mayor, thank you. I was very interested in what the public was saying about the Len Taplin, the one tree. I had a number of phone calls from some of the parents saying that they suddenly were notified by email that their full-time hours have suddenly been slashed to part-time hours. Some of these people do 12-hour shifts for their children. They couldn't come tonight because some of them are locked up. There were 12 COVID outbreaks at the Len Taplin Centre in Port Hedland. So I'm a bit concerned because they did not get any notification except in the email. They didn't get asked about having a meeting. So I'm just saying, if what our director says about you may be getting together with, through the chair, with Len Taplin, could you please ask why there hasn't been some sort of even if it was a Zoom meeting, because maybe they couldn't come out, etc., etc., but they were pretty much left up in the air, and they're left up in the air at the moment because they have nowhere else to have their children looked after when they have to try and do their work. And yeah, so it was just pretty much out of the blue, and I only learned about this in the last 24 hours, so it's pretty out of the blue. So I just think that, you know, when you need to do this sort of thing, you need to pull people together. If you could please reiterate that with the directors having a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gillingham. Thank you. Any more questions, councillors? No? Okay, we'll move forward. Item number 8, announcement by presiding member without discussions. Sorry. The presiding members' meetings for the month of February 2022 are detailed within the agenda and were printed in the minutes. Item number 9, declarations of all members have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business paper before them. I invite all elected members to show of hands declare that they have given due consideration to all matters contained within the agenda. Give a show of hands, please. Councillor Zuki, Councillor Thing. Yep, thank you. Item number 10, confirmation of previous meetings. We have office recommendation to note that there's an error occurred in the Department of Water Environmental Regulations, that the motion OCM at the 2021-131 be amended. Can I have a mover, please? Move. Councillor Turner, thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gillingham, thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions? Is anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. We have an office recommendation before us to confirm that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on Wednesday the 23rd of February 2022 as amended and a true correct record. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Christensen, thank you, Councillor. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Turner, thank you. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Before we move to the office reports, I remind members of the public not to take any action on council decisions on items on this evening's agenda in which they may have an interest in, until the formal notification in writing by the town has been received. Decisions made at this meeting can be revoked in line with the Local Government Act 1995. Just before we go further forward, item number 11.3.4 has been requested from the applicant has been withdrawn. Before we continue to item 11, reports from officers, I move that 11.5.2 designated area migration agreement model be considered as the next business item. Can I have a mover, please? Mover, thank you, Councillor Coles. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Christensen, thank you. Are there any questions?
I'll just, through the chair, just make a comment. Again, just reiterating the remarks that have been made tonight. Congratulations to everyone that's been involved. It's a very important and strategic development that will, we hope, address a lot of the labour shortages. Of course, there's a lot of challenges that go with that, and housing being one of them. So I look forward to that conversation moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Okay, is anyone against this motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. We have officer recommendation that council consider and endorse the funding model to administer the proposed Pilbara Designated Area Migration Agreement as per attachment number 3. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor. Is it?
There's a part 2, Mr Mayor, that we refer the matter for consideration in the 22-23 budget. My advice is that you vote on both items.
At the same time? Yeah, okay, that's fine, CEO. Okay. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Coles, thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gillingham, thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions? Is anyone against this motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Thank you, Councillors. Great result for that. Thank you. Item number 11, reports from officers. 11.1, corporate services. 11.1.1, proposed town of Port Hedland public space and local government property amendment local law 2022. We have an officer's recommendation that council adopts the town of Port Hedland public space and local government property amendment local law 2022. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Turner. Seconder, yeah, thank you, Councillor Christensen. This requires absolute majority vote. Are there any questions? Is there anybody against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried absolute majority 7-0. 11.1.2, Statement of Financial Activity for the period ending 31 January 2022. We have an officer's recommendation before us that council receive a statement of financial activity for the period ending 31st of January 2022. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Moved. Councillor Turner. Thank you, Councillor. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Councillor Coles, thank you. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. (11.1.3) Order of business for council and committees meetings. We have an office recommendation before us that council amend policy 1-017, order of business for council and committee meetings as per attachment 1. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Christensen. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Coles, thank you. This requires absolute majority vote. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried. Absolute majority 7-0. (11.2) Community Services. 11.2.1 Headlands Arts and Culture Precinct. We have an office recommendation before us that note the community engagement of our arts and culture strategy include referred location to the endorsed program elements and the return design brief as per attachment number 3. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Gillingham. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Coles. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. (11.3) Regulated Services. 11.3.1 Joint Development Assessment Panel Application for Development Approval Utility Scale Battery 2021-250. We have an officer's recommendation that council approve the Regional Joint Development Assessment Panel application reference DAP/22/02165. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Can I have a seconder, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. (11.3.2) Housing Summit, Housing Solutions Summit. We have an officer's recommendation that council adopts the modified Housing Solutions Summit priorities in attachment number 3. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Coles, thank you. Seconder is Councillor Turner. Thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against this motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Item number 11.3.3. Initiation of a local planning policy 13 South Headland Square Centre design guidelines. We have an officer's recommendation that council initiates a local planning policy 13 South Headland Town Square Centre design guidelines as prescribed in attachment number 2. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Gillingham. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Item number 11.4, infrastructure services. 11.4.1, the Port Hedland Sports and Community Hub Master Plan. We have an office recommendation that council endorse the revised master plan proposed for the Port Hedland Sports and Community Hub as per attachment 1 and 2. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Gillingham. Are there any questions? Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Before we consider item number 11.4.2, would councillors like to take a moment to discuss or ask any questions behind closed doors regarding this item? If not, we'll continue on. Okay, we'll continue on. 11.4.2, award of tender RFT 2122-08, a panel of project management consultants for the town of Port Hedland. We have an office of recommendation that council awards the following successful tenders to the panel of pre-qualified suppliers. A panel of project management consultants for the town of Port Hedland to a maximum period of 3 years. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Are there any questions? Is anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Before we consider next item, number 11.4.3, would councillors like to take a moment to discuss or ask any questions behind closed doors before we consider? No? Okay, I will continue on. 11.3.4, award of tender RFT 2122-12, pre-qualified panel for the concrete replacement program for the town of Port Hedland. We have an office recommendation that council awards the following successful tenders to a pre-qualified panel for a concrete replacement program for the town of Port Hedland for a maximum of 3 years, including options for annual extensions at the town's discretion. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Seconder was Councillor Turner. Are there any questions? Is anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. (11.5) Executive Services. 11.5.1 Endorsement of the Economic Development and Tourism Strategy. We have an office recommendation that council endorse the town of Port Hedland Economic Development and Tourism Strategy. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Coles. Can I have a seconder, please?
So moved.
Seconder, thank you, Councillor Turner. Are there any questions?
I just, through the chair, just like
Yes.
to comment. That,
Yes, Councillor Turner.
it was good to see that there was an acknowledgement of the value and the potential growth for cultural industries, notably the Indigenous sector. I think there's some real opportunities there for us to work in partnership with the different Aboriginal corporations and Aboriginal businesses moving forward. So well done. I remember speaking to that specifically, and it was good to see that was put into the strategy.
That's great. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Any other questions on that? Okay. Is anyone against this motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Item number 12, Reports of Communities. 12.1, 2021 Compliance Audit Return. We have office recommendation that council adopts the Compliance Audit Return 2021. Can I have a mover, please? Move. Thank you, Councillor Turner. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Coles. Are there any questions?
Just a comment.
Yes, councillor.
Through the chair, I'd just like to acknowledge the work of the town of Port Hedland. There's a continued commitment to both the order and to improving the way we do business. So the executive and the people that work with them should be acknowledged for that work, and we thank them for their efforts.
Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, thank you, councillor Turner. Is anyone else against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. Item number 13, motions of a previous notice are given, there is nil. Item 14, new business of urgent nature, late items, there is nil. Item 15, matters for which a meeting may be closed, confidential matters. We have one report for consider by council tonight and recommend that council close the meeting to members of the public as prescribed under section 5.232 of the Local Government Act 1995 to consider item 15.1. Can I have a mover, please, to go into confidential? Thank you, councillor Turner. I have a seconder, please. Thank you, councillor Gillingham. Is there anyone against the motion? As the motion is not opposed, I declare it carried 7-0. I declare the meeting be closed to the public at 6:21 p.m. Sorry, councillor.
assuming live streaming will recommence.
Okay.
And then read aloud the
Recommendation, okay. Okay. So I can just read that out, can't I? That's it.
Yeah, and we'll put it up on the screen. You should have the officer recommendation. No, not that one. Have you not got it?
No.
So you need to read that.
Fantastic. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, during the conferential session considered by the conference report, the resolution as follows. For item number 15.1, that council endorse the draft business plan for lot 2939 Roberts Road and lot 5977 Hamilton Road, South Headland. Okay. That number 1, to endorse the draft business plan for lot 2939 Roberts Road and lot 5977 Hamilton Road, South Headland, and authorise the Chief Executive Officer to make minor amendments that do not substantially alter or intent of the business plan prior to advertising. And 2, request the CEO to commence statewide and local public notice of a business plan for a 6-week period and request that all public comments are collected and the business plan be sent back to council for final endorsement. And number 3, subject to no adverse public comment, authorise the CEO to enter an agreement with the proposed developer, returning them to purchase the amalgamated property and development of the property subject to A, satisfaction of the requirement of Local Government Act 1995, B, business plan progressing, C, the land tenure issue being resolved, including the purchase amalgamated of subject lots, and D, with respect to the development of the lot, development approval being obtained under the Planning Development Act 2005. And it was carried 5-2. Number 16, closure. 16.1, the date of the next council meeting. Council, that brings us to the end of the council meeting. The next council meeting will be held on the 27th of April 2022 at 5:30 p.m. 16.2, closure. Being there no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 6:55 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, chief of staff. Thank you, executives. Thank you.